Hello and welcome to another edition of Active Living. Today we're very fortunate to have Mr. Pat Belenger here with us today. He's just returned from a fantastic trip in Europe, visited several places in France and a little bit of Italy from what I understand. Pat, welcome to our show.
Thank you, George.
Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
We have let's talk about your trip a little bit. You had from what I understand, a great trip to Europe.
Yeah, it was very nice. Happened because I have a timeshare, and it turns out, George, I didn't know what to do with my timeshare, so I saw that there's a couple places in France. So I managed to get 4 nights in Paris and 3 nights in a little town north of Caen in the south of France.
Wow.
And I had 2 more nights to spare in between, so I ended up booking a hotel in the town of Dijon, famous for its mustard, and then that was the basis for getting there and taking the trip at all.
So you actually had a timeshare that you used in
Timeshare, yeah, points system. That,
yeah.
Yeah, so I was able to use that.
Great.
Up against the wall, use it or lose it, they say. So.
Okay, well, talk to us a little bit about Paris. I understand that was your first stop. Is that right?
That was my first stop. I met an old high school buddy from 50 years ago at our 50th reunion, and he said, if you ever get a chance, go to Paris. And he says, the best city he's ever been in. So that was on my to-do list. So
wow.
Yeah, spent 4 nights in there, and it was a great town. Yeah.
So what did you like about Paris?
Well, I like that. It's very let's say it's homogeneous. It's got a lot of old buildings, but nothing is real tall. It's maybe 4 stories, 5
Right.
stories high. So it feels comfortable. You can go around anywhere. There's a number of places in town where you can get a higher perspective and see the town below. It's clean. People were very polite. Unlike what I had heard,
Right.
I was probably the ugly American. I would.
Did they force you to try to speak French?
They did not force me to try to
that's
speak
good.
French, and those who didn't speak English went out of their way to try to find me somebody who spoke English.
Well, that's
so
great.
It was a very, very good
So it was a
experience.
pleasant
Very good.
experience from that point of view.
Very good, yes.
I remember being there once playing in a band on the street corner, and
yeah.
we had a gentleman come up and say, "You must announce in French. You must announce in French. You can't do it in English."
Yeah.
And so he was a little belligerent, but anyway, we got through it. So when you were there, what did you go and see?
Well, it's all the usual tourist sites, and that's the problem is going to a place like that, everybody expects you to have seen the Eiffel Tower, the
Right.
Louvre, Sacred Heart Cathedral. I saw the Orsay Museum, and I did not get to see Versailles, which people would say, well, did you go to Versailles?
Right.
I skipped that. That's a whole day deal.
It is, right.
I did discover a place I hadn't intended to visit, and that was the Palace of Vincennes.
Really?
That was That was created by Francis I of French, of course. He came back from the Crusades, and he had started the palace, and he also started a little church there called the Saints Chapel.
Okay.
Because he brought back a gift from the emperor or whoever was in charge in Constantinople, gave him a piece of the true cross and a thorn from the
crown. Oh, really?
of thorns, and he had to have a place to put them, so he was building a Saints Chapel for
So
that.
built a multi-million-dollar chapel.
Well, at
right?
that time, yeah, but it was for a good cause.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was very nice. The building, the palace itself, is being restored. You get to see the real feel of it.
Okay.
Has a nice little dungeon inside. In fact, there's a sign there that says the Marquis de Sade spent three months in the dungeon for his evil lifestyle. And,
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's great. So I assume you saw some of the other sites like the Eiffel Tower.
Did the Eiffel Tower. We went, well, I saw that Vincennes unexpectedly, and then I had a purpose, and I wanted to see what they called the Grand Arch, which I only learned about while I was researching the trip, and it's actually a large building on the far side of town. So I got on the metro on the east end of town and went all the way to the west end to another part of town called La Défense, and in that, it's actually a business district, and there was a what they call the Grand Arch, which is a large building, goes up, comes across like that, and it's actually got rooms and offices and everything in there. So that was my first intended stop, and that was pretty neat. They got a huge metro system. Metro is great.
Is there a street that runs under that arch?
It looks like it would be, but
Yeah.
it's not, because they built it up on top of a large concrete thing. I mean, you got to walk up the steps to get to it.
Okay.
There's no street. Now, I think the street may run underneath in a tunnel,
Okay.
because there's quite a few business buildings there. A lot of unique architecture. In fact,
Right.
I saw a commercial while I was in France, and it said it was aimed at the British in the London area, and the French wanted to get some of the businesses to relocate to Paris area, so they said, leave the fog and come to the frog. That's funny.
It's funny. Yeah.
So that was that first stop there, and then from there on, I kind of walked back into Paris from that spot.
Okay.
So left there, went down to the Arc de Triomphe, which is, there's a big boulevard, the Charles de Gaulle Boulevard runs from the Grand Arch down to the Arc de Triomphe. And I took some, of course, had to go in there and took some pictures and looked at the traffic. Surrounded by a huge, I don't know if you've been there, but one of these big circles that we hate,
right.
traffic circles. Only theirs is like 4 or 5 lanes wide and constantly moving, and I'm wondering how the heck did anybody get over there?
I've been in a car going through there once.
And
it's
that'd be
kind of
enough.
scary.
Yeah, especially if you want to change lanes. So yeah, I found there's an underground walkway, so you can walk to it underground, and it's really quite nice. And then from there, I just left and walked the Champs-Élysées towards the Louvre.
Right.
I love McDonald's, by the way. It was just
Okay.
they get the better McDonald's are in France. Go to France.
I'm sure they had the McCafe there.
They have a McCafe, and it's separate. You know, it's like they open different hours for the McCafe than the restaurant, and they have a bigger assortment. They have
Right.
pastries.
Right.
You can get all the pastries you want, and they have this special donut. It's available all over France. It must be a McDonald's special.
Okay.
It's got a center of chocolate, a ring of chocolate, surrounded by the donut, drizzled over with another chocolate coating, and when they drizzle it, it kind of sits in the bottom of the tray, so the bottom is covered with the chocolate also. Best pastry in all of France. Yeah.
Oh, I believe it. So McDonald's is a hit over there.
It is, yeah, and got pictures to prove it too.
Oh, it's great.
Crowds all over the place.
That's terrific. So then, I assume you went down to the river. You saw the Seine River.
I did see the Seine. Yeah, I made it a purpose. I mean, everybody's got to see the Seine, right? So
Right.
I walked down there one day, and it was after leaving the train station. I wanted to see where the trains were because I had to make plans to leave the city in another couple of days. And I walked down to the river, and there took some pictures, and I turned around, and there's some people walking through a hole in the wall, and I wonder what's over there. So I walked and followed them, and it turned out I was in an inner courtyard. And everybody was going to the left, so I followed them in the left, and then I ended up in the main courtyard for the Louvre.
Oh.
So I was actually in an inner courtyard of the Louvre.
Okay.
And so I saw that, and I intended to go to the Louvre anyway, so it's worked out fortuitously that I'm there, and I got some pictures, and then I turned around, and no crowds that day.
Oh,
A little
fantastic.
chilly, so I walked right in, got a ticket, walked through, saw, what you go there to see, and I can't believe how many things are there. It's just
Oh, it takes you a week to
takes, if you want to spend the
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
but I had limited time, so. But I did find the Mona Lisa,
Ah,
and but she was crowded. I think everybody goes to see it,
Right.
find out why it's so special. So there were about 5 or 6 people deep. So only picture I got was raising my camera up and flashing it over the top of
Right.
the head. No flashes, so I had to do it. Turned out pretty good, except it looks like she's wearing somebody on her belly button or something, because it's covered by a piece of plastic or glass, and
Right.
it's reflecting the crowd that's
Oh,
in front
okay.
of her. But other than that, and then I managed to find the Venus de Milo also,
okay.
and I wanted to give her a hug, but she didn't have any arms, so we just left her there.
That's great.
There's a little story there. Yeah, and still a pretty decent day, a little chilly, but not bad. And I decided as long as I'm at one museum, might as well see another. So I walked farther down, crossed the Seine,
Right.
and found the Orsay Museum, which is a
Okay.
beautiful converted train station.
Oh, really?
And it's so it's long and narrow, and so I heard about it, and it was
Mhm.
nice. So I went. Nice. It was nice.
Mostly
lot of-
paintings.
Paintings and statues, a lot of statuary
Yeah.
and stuff. And I'm thinking, what's so special about this place? I heard that they had a great impressionist paintings and stuff, and all I
Uh-huh.
could find was one or two scattered about. Well, if you go to the very far end, opposite the entrance, you find out that they've built up a structure within the train station about 5 stories tall,
Wow.
and you can go in there. So I went to different levels, and one or two of them, at least two, I think, had furniture, all kinds, King Louis the 12th, whatever,
Right.
and modern stuff too. And then above that, on the very top floor, is where the Renaissance painters are, not the Renaissance, but the Impressionists and
Okay.
stuff. So that was what I went there to see, actually, and very beautiful stuff. And they got a nice cafeteria too. I got too late, but artsy-wise, it's great. They got unique lamps and plastic and
Yeah.
very colorful. Really nice place.
Now, did the restaurant have chocolate donuts?
Did not have chocolate
No chocolate
donuts. I have
donuts.
to save those for another time. But that was a good place. Then I caught the metro and went over to the Eiffel Tower.
Ah, yeah.
I had to see that one. So this trip was kind of designated by others. Well,
Really?
if you went, you have to have
You have-
seen this,
yeah,
right?
right.
So I had to see the Eiffel Tower. But luckily, the weather was a little dreary that day. It had rained on and off. I got there, no line.
Perfect.
Walked up, got tickets, and right on. And the worst thing was you get up to the 3rd level, I think it is. That's where you've got to catch. You can walk up that far if you choose, which I didn't, but you could. And then from there, you've got to catch an elevator to the top.
Second
going to the
elevator,
top.
right.
Yeah. So that's where the line started piling up in there. But about a half hour later, I was on the elevator, and
Oh, you did?
about
You
me
waited
and
for
about
it.
50 other people. Yeah.
I've been up there, but the line was so long, I just said, that's enough.
No, yeah, I
I
had
won't go the rest of
I had
the
to
way.
see it, so I went up there, and really nice, beautiful views up there. I go back, look at the La Défense, which was in the other direction, away
Right.
from Paris. I could see the Sacred Heart, everything,
Great.
and I was there before dark, but I was also there after dark, so I got day and night pictures. So
Great.
it's pretty impressive
Yeah.
building. Excuse me. I watched travel logs on TV, so I was watching Rick Steves. He does a lot
Oh,
of
yeah.
European travel.
Oh, yeah, right.
And he talked about the Saints Chapel. So I knew there was something, there was a Saints Chapel, so I'm walking there. I could not find this Saints Chapel. Finally, I come back a second time around, and I look down the street, and it's a little sign, and I think, oh, there it is, over there. Well, it turns out there's a big building and a courtyard and a gate, and it's part of the police station now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the whole thing's surrounded by the police, so you can walk in, you got to hi, and they check you, but nobody searched me physically. And I had to walk around and go in the back. The entrance to the church was in the back.
So you had to go
And
through the police station
Police
to get to the
station to
church.
get to the church on
Wow.
the grounds of the police station. Get in the church, and then this is nice. I finally got to this place, and I'm taking pictures, but it's being restored, but it's still pretty shabby.
Right.
And I'm not getting the pictures. I'm kind of disappointed. I had paid to get in too. And one of the few things I don't like to do. So anyway, I paid to get in. So I'm about to leave when there's a lady and her daughter in front of me, and as I'm going, the daughter goes through a little corner alcove, and she says to her mother, "Oh, there's another thing here." So I follow them, and it turns out to go stairway, go up the stairs, and that's where that building is famous for. They have 14 really tall, I'm talking floor length to ceiling, and you're talking 20-foot, whatever, stained glass windows
Oh, wow.
rising up on all sides
Okay.
and around. And it's just beautiful, marvelous stuff. And so that's what they were raving about. But you
Okay.
have to know that the stairwell is over there and you got to go upstairs. Nowadays, it's they rent it out. They use it for, in fact, that day they were going to close shortly after I left, and they were going to open that evening for a party.
Really?
Somebody
Wow.
rented it out.
Very cool.
Yeah. So I did that. Then I took a little tour on the Seine River. I hadn't planned it, but I thought, well, I got starting to get dusk. I thought,
Right.
well, I'll see how much it costs, and I was pleasantly surprised at the low cost, and had time for a beer and relax, and then take a trip up the Seine. And about an hour and a half ride. You go down a little bit past the island, and they
Right.
tell you about stuff, and then you go back up, and you go up to the Eiffel Tower area,
Mm-hmm.
come back down again, go on the other side of the island, they tell you a little more, and you come back, and it's all over. And but a very, very informative.
Yeah, it's a nice trip. I've taken
nice
that
trip.
trip myself, and
Yeah,
it's a good. We did it during the day.
Yeah,
We didn't do it at night.
I got half of it in the day and half at
Okay.
night, so it's,
So you got the best of both worlds.
I don't know if it's the best, but it's something different anyway.
Yeah.
A lot of fun.
There was one thing I saw over there, and I'm sure you probably saw it too. There was a bridge that had a whole bunch of locks.
Oh yeah,
Locks on it.
yeah. I've seen that in the movies too. You know,
Yeah.
I think it was in one of the I don't know, one of the comedies or something. At
Right.
the end, they lock their secrets away. Yeah. As a matter of fact, I did at that. When I took the Seine tour, as I was leaving, it was nighttime, and I crossed a bridge, and I noticed a fence piece there, and had some locks on it. I thought, oh, that must be what it is. And then there's a sign nearby that tells you that they put so many locks on these chains that they take the sections of the bridge, just remove the whole section, and put it on firm land instead of on the bridge, because the weight would cause structural damage to the bridge. And then they replaced the piece on the bridge. So
Yeah, I had heard that they
pretty
were
neat.
going to outlaw putting the locks on there because they were so heavy.
they are. They're very.
Yeah.
Can't believe how many locks they can fit on a bridge. It's quite a sight.
You've pretty much done a lot of Paris.
Done most of it. I haven't done one thing is I wanted to see the Sacred Heart Church. That it's in the pictures is always this beautiful white cathedral.
Mm-hmm.
It sits on a hill in part of town, Montmartre, and so I had to figure out how to get to Montmartre, and then
Okay.
and that's also near a street called Pigalle. And growing up in the 50s, there was a guy named Maurice Chevalier, and he would sing
Oh,
about
yeah.
Pigalle and that. Well, that turned out to be the red light district of Paris, actually, back in the war years. But Montmartre sits there, and on the top of the very hill at Montmartre is the church. So I went there one day and saw the cathedral and some pictures of the city, and then walked around. And Montmartre itself is interesting. Narrow streets, lots of shops,
Yeah.
restaurants, and stuff. And
Uh-huh.
artists, a lot of artists. So did that. I did find a lot of, speaking of automobiles, I noticed there's a lot of electric vehicles.
Really?
Then they're for use. You can call the number up, I guess, and they give you a pass number or something. You can just get in the vehicle and take off with it as
Oh,
long as
really?
they have your information and your credit card number. I did not try it. I'm not
Like
that
these
adventurous.
bicycles that you see in a
You
lot
can
of cities.
do that too, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, only they were selling these two-passenger car, use of the two-passenger
Electric?
cars. Yeah, yeah.
Wow,
Yeah, it's pretty
that's
neat.
interesting.
And you
yeah.
park it wherever you can park it. And they have designated places for the electric cars.
Well, that's pretty.
Plug in, yeah.
That's pretty unique.
Yeah.
But I understand from there, then you went to where? Dijon or Vincennes?
Yeah, well, Vincennes where I stayed. I went down to, I had 2 nights between timeshares, so I went to Dijon, which is the capital city of the Burgundy region of France, where a lot of the grapes, the
Right.
Burgundy grape
Right.
comes from.
Right.
And had a nice place. It was right on about a block and a half from the train station, so I could easily walk to it. And I look out my window, and there's the city square a block away. And so I could walk into the city square and down. It's not touristy. It's not as touristy as Paris, but
Right.
it's very nice, easy to walk down, and it's compact enough you can walk the entire town. I actually did it in 2 nights. The first night on the left side of the town more so, and then the next night on the right side of the town. And it's very nice. A lot of color. Old buildings, still old. They're noted for their roofing, I guess. They had, back in the old days, they had a pattern of green tiles and white or
Right.
something, kind of a checkerboard effect. So I was looking around for some of that too, and they have a nice museum they're building, working on modern art museum, which was got some really nice exhibits. It's not all modern.
Right.
I'm looking at stuff from the 1300s and
Wow.
1200s, and
Okay.
a lot of good stuff
Yeah.
in there too. Also, they got a trolley runs up and north, back and forth
Yeah.
between the south end of the town and the north end. So I jumped on the trolley one afternoon. I ended up at a big mall.
Good.
And across the street is a nice park. They got a little park with a little zoo for the kids and stuff. So it's
Great.
a lot to do there.
But you did get to cons as well, right?
Dijon, after Dijon is Cannes. That's my favorite movie. One of my favorites is about Cannes, so
Okay.
I went there. Can I say about Cannes? Well, I was actually staying north of Cannes, outside of town, in a town called Mougins.
Okay.
And it's only a $35 taxi cab fare to get to Mougins from Cannes. However, it's only, I say dollar, I meant euro fare, but it's $1.50 to take the bus, which I found out about that night. So I took the bus there after.
Yeah.
But very nice town. It's got its own little historic city on a hill kind of thing, the old medieval
Right.
city. I went visited the old Mougins and had lunch up there and toured that city, and then toured Cannes itself. And that's where they have the Cannes Film Festival every year. So I
Right,
got to
right.
take pictures of
All the
that.
famous movie stars. are
Movie
there.
stars. In fact, I was there on my birthday in Cannes, and I went to McDonald's, of course, and I won a free coffee or something on one of their contests. You know,
Oh, really?
stickers. So I thought, my birthday, and I won a coffee.
There you go.
So then I'm walking through town, and I go to there's a casino right down by
Right.
the water. So, my birthday, I've already won a coffee. I go in the casino, and I play about 7 times, 2 different machines,
Right.
and I walk out ahead about 10 pounds or something like
10
that,
euros?
yeah. So I figure I've had a good day.
You did.
And so that was pretty much it in there. I just walked around the more of the main part,
Yeah.
pictures of the harbor scene and everything,
Right.
walked on the beach and all that. So
It's supposed to be a really nice town.
it's very nice. Got a nice beach. Unlike Nice, which is farther down, more towards the north, and that one I've been told has got a rocky, stony beach. So
Right. Right.
I never did see the beach at Nice, but the one at Cannes is very nice. Matter of fact, it's so nice they have restaurants that apparently they pay the city for the use of the beach, so they fence off sections of the beach for use of that restaurant.
Okay.
So you got to find one you like, I guess, and find a way
Right.
down to it, and then
Uh-huh.
you can go in there and eat. But, I didn't eat on the beach; I just walked.
It's probably a little pricey down there too.
I would think it's a little pricier,
Yeah.
but I was in the off season. In fact, I didn't see any customers. It was closed up for it's
Okay.
late October, so
Right,
you know.
right.
It's, that's pretty much it there. I think the next day I decided to see the other towns.
Yeah.
Basically, I had bought before I left. I bought train tickets to accommodate my transportation. And I found that a 4-day ticket was the same price as a 3-day ticket, so I bought the 4-day ticket.
Yeah.
And I just didn't know what I was going to do with the 4th day. Turns out I used it to get from one city to the other along the coast. So
Right.
I went from Cannes up to a town called Aix-sur-Mer, Aix on the sea, and
Okay.
it's another mountaintop walled city.
Uh-huh.
So friends had recommended it, so I went up there and visited that, had lunch up there. It was kind of drizzly and humid that day, but we got done. And then while I was leaving, I ran into some folks, and we finally formed a quartet of ourselves, a gal from Denmark and a couple from Israel and myself. And so we ended up going to another town, taking the train, and that was Italian town, Ventimiglia.
Okay.
And that's just across the border. You wouldn't know you were in Italy, but just across the border in this little town. So we went in there, walked around, visited a little bit, and then we had lunch there, a late lunch basically, and then I caught the train back, and I hadn't seen Monaco yet. I wanted to see Monaco and Nice, so I jumped on the train, left the others, and went to Monaco. I want to tell you, Monaco is interesting if you take the train, because the train station is in a mountain.
Is it really?
It's in the mountain, and I found out later it's about 14 levels, and one side there's parking. I don't know how you got to it because I didn't see those things, but there's a bunch of parking in the mountain, and then but I took the elevator up and I got off at the first stop, and I see a coffee shop area. Oh, this is good. So I go out, I get a coffee, and there's a big open area, a balcony kind of thing, but bigger than that. And I can walk out and I can see the town below me.
Really?
But and then on the side of me, the mountain wraps around, and there's buildings to the right of me and buildings to the left of me. I'm sure there's a song in there somewhere. But and they're going up, and then if I look down, there's the town going out, and so I was able to get some pictures from up there of the harbor and that, and some of the buildings below me and the other ones, but I never really got to down there. I found a way up to upstairs. I managed to walk out, and I said I'll give myself a half hour to take a walk,
Right.
and then I had to get back to catch the train to Nice.
Right.
And,
Right.
I had to do all that because I had to catch the last bus back to my timeshare, or I would be walking quite about 6 miles. So I
Right.
decided to just take that walk, and I came back, caught the train to Nice. Nice is more normal. The train station's there. You're right on the street level.
Right.
I was able to get out, and I got some nice views. I was surprised. It's a big city. It's must be, I think I read somewhere it's like third or fourth biggest city in France.
Okay.
And but I made a left turn, which was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And I found the main street and took a walk down the main street. Did some more pictures. It's pretty modern. They got a nice trolley system there too, and I wasn't smart enough to take it, but there were a couple of real modern. You'd think that they were bullet trains or something.
Yeah.
They were real sleek, and walked down Nice, and then come back to the train station and got home in time to catch my bus back to the timeshare for my last night in Cannes.
So you
Done
finished
this.
up in Cannes.
I'm done.
You're done. You're
On the train back to Paris. I've got one last night. I decided to I had reserved a place already not far from the train station. And I went out and saw the Bastille area of Paris, which was pretty interesting. And that's more on the northeast side. And
Right.
I was staying close to the Bastille Opera House, and so I got a lot of pictures from that area. And
great.
walked down the main street, back towards the Seine actually, and had dinner down there, and took some more pictures. The last parting shot of some evening pictures on the Seine,
Great.
and then it's all over.
Then you're back.
I'm back, and as great as it is, and I have to go back to see the left bank. Right.
Yeah. Right. Pat, thank you very much for joining us
Thanks
today.
for having me,
This
George.
has been great.
Yeah.
And hopefully
good trip.
we can do it the next time you take a trip.
Next big trip. Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah,
See
bye
you.
now.
Bye.